This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this show, we talk about a leading jazz icon down the timeline of jazz, and on today's show, it's all about the life and times and best music of jazz great Carmen McRae. She was a jazz singer, songwriter, and pianist who grew up in Harlem, New York, where she originally started out playing the piano. Her first big break came when she caught the attention of composer Irene Wilson. Through her influence, she released her first big hit, Dream of Life, in collaboration with jazz great Billie Holiday. By the 1940s, she was famous for her appearances in the Minton's Playhouse in Harlem, a favorite haunt for jazz musicians at the time. Later, she signed up with Decca Records and produced more great albums. During her career, she collaborated with greats like Benny Carter, Count Basie, Louis Armstrong, and Sammy Davis Jr. She sang throughout the US and across the world for more than 50 years and is considered one of the most influential jazz vocalists of the 20th century. So on today's episode of the Jazz Update, we're talking all about Carmen McRae, her best hits and biography. Also coming up, some trending festival and album news. Also, don't forget to check out the archives of today's show on my YouTube channel, The Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay tuned. On today's show, it's all about jazz great Carmen McRae, her life and times and best hits. And now, let's talk about her biography. According to many critics, Carmen McRae was one of the top greatest jazz vocalists of all time. Her trademark style was in how she conveyed the lyrics, her vocal control and distinctive phrasing. She could navigate between swing and ballad music. She was also a great scat singer. So Carmen McRae was born on the 8th of April 1920 in New York. From an early age, she took up piano playing, and that sparked off her interest in music. By the age of 20, she had begun singing and playing the piano. She loved the ability to express words through her music. Her first big break came when she was hired as an intermission pianist at the Minton's Playhouse in Harlem, one of the famous jazz haunts of the time. That's where she developed her career as a jazz musician, often coming into contact with other jazz greats of her time. It was while she was performing there that she ran into her future mentor, Billie Holiday, through one of her friends, a songwriter called Irene Wilson. Wilson and McRae would create music together, and one of her early hits was a result of that partnership, her song Dream of Life, recorded alongside Billie Holiday in 1939. In 1944, she got another big break when she was engaged to sing alongside the Benny Carter Orchestra. 1944 to 1946, she also performed with the Count Basie Orchestra and the Earl Hines Orchestra. In 1946, she joined Mercer Ellington's band. Around that time, bebop was becoming a mainstream jazz art, and McRae was one of the vocalists who excelled at that art. While she was touring Brooklyn as a pianist, she was discovered by Decca Records, who signed her up for a contract. She released her first album where she sang the lead, Carmen McRae, in 1954 on Decca Records. That album led to Downbeat magazine voting her for Best New Female Vocalist of 1954. Further success followed. Between 1960 and 1990, she toured the US and around the world, including concert performances in Europe and Japan. She recorded more than 40 albums as leader and collaborated with other great artists like Betty Carter, George Shearing, and Duke Ellington. In 1994, she received the Jazz Masters Award from the National Endowment for the Arts, which cited her instinctive feeling for rhythm, her skillful vocal technique, and her innovative scat singing. Carmen McRae was nominated for a Grammy Award 6 times and inspired generations of musicians after her. She died in 1994 from a stroke. So that was a bit about the biography of Carmen McRae, one of the most influential jazz vocalists of the 20th century. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. You can check out my YouTube channel for archives of today's episode on the Weekend Jazz Update. So, Carmen McRae, her life and times and best hits. By the way, don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for archives of today's show on the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. Now, if you're a fan of British jazz or the history of jazz, got some good news for you. There's a new book that's set to be released this week. It was only recently discovered. And it talks all about the golden age of jazz in Britain, as it was known. That's the period of British jazz from the 60s through the 70s. A time when jazz saw an experimentation stage. And there was a lot of groundbreaking new albums and innovations in British jazz at the time. Now, there's a book that documents all the hallmark albums from that time, and it's just been discovered. It's called Labyrinth, British Jazz on Record 1960 to 75. It's a 375-page hardback that talks about all the key albums on both independent and major labels. Some of the albums talked about in the book include Tubby's Groove by Tubby Hayes on the label Tempo, Nucleus by Alley Cat, and Don Rendell with Joe Palin live at the Avgardy Gallery in Manchester. There's also British classics like the Mike Taylor Trio's Pendulum. The book also features informative essays on each album and also press reviews. So it's set to be released on the 8th of January and it's priced at £60. For more information, please visit www.lansdowneBooks.com or www.elvinyl.com. And you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. We're going for a short break, but we'll be right back after that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of Carmen McRae's greatest hits, the meanings of the lyrics and album beat. On today's show, Carmen McRae, her life and times and best hits. By the way, don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for archives of today's show on the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. So on this segment, we're going to be talking about some of McRae's greatest hits. The first song is called When I Fall in Love. It's a song about love that is fulfilled. In this song, unlike many melancholy love songs, the singer has fallen in love with the right person. The song Can't Hide is a song about how the singer is frustrated at this guy who is hiding his true feelings from her. She wants him to release his inhibitions and declare his love for her. It's a song from the album Can't Hide Love. There's a beautiful song about steadfast love called Only Have Eyes for You, where the singer is singing about how she can only ever love that one person. And a song about how love feels for the very first time, a song from the album Boy Meets Girl called Happy to Make Your Acquaintance. In this song, Carmen McRae teams up with Sammy Davis Jr., singing about bygone memories of falling in love for the very first time ever. So on this segment, we are going to be talking in depth about the meanings of these songs, and you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. Stay tuned with and John Coltrane with Cherico. This is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On today's show, we're talking about jazz icon Carmen McRae, her biography and best hits. And now, we're going to be talking about some of her best music of all time. When I Fall in Love is taken from the album The Book of Ballads. In this song, the singer has fallen in love with the right person, one that she can love for the rest of her life. Now, many of us can relate to this song. We all have idealistic dreams of that perfect love, and sometimes those dreams do come true. So it's a song a lot of people can relate to. This song has been covered several times, and there's a reason for that. It's a beautiful song that gives the listener chills. A song that features piano and bass and a fantastic jazz beat. The next song is called Can't Hide from the album Can't Hide Love. In this song, the woman is singing about her frustration with a guy who's denying his love for her, and yet she insists that he can't hide his love for her. Now, in this world, people tend to be very guarded when they talk about their feelings, even though it's obvious how they feel, it's written on their faces, and yet they hide their love. And in this relationship, it's a bit like that. But Carmen is singing to this guy saying he can't hide his feelings from her. The lyrics make people think about past loves and how they make one feel. A very powerful song. Carmen was probably basing her lyrics on her own experiences of past loves as she sang this song. Now, her version of this song is closely based on the original version, which was by Earth, Wind and Fire. Also includes some scat singing or improvisational singing towards the end. The next song is called Only Have Eyes for You from the album When You're Away. This one's a romantic, sultry song, and the lyrics talk about only being in love with one person. The singer wants her man to know she will never love anybody else but him. Incidentally, this is a great song for Valentine's Day or for weddings and similar occasions. If you want to play a perfect melody for someone you're in love with, this one's the perfect song. And there's many versions of this song. McRae's version is smooth with a cool vibe to it. There's another song she sang in collaboration with Sammy Davis Jr. called Happy to Make Your Acquaintance. This one's a flirty track from the album Boy Meets Girl. It's a song about how you feel when you fall in love for the first time. The special feelings that accompany that experience. A beautiful song combining Jimmy and Carmen's vocals with humorous lyrics. The song lyrics are in dialogue form, with the singers conversing about how they met for the very first time. And a song called When Sunny Gets Blue from the album Bittersweet. In this song, a girl is singing about how upset she got when love came to an end. She was happy and now she's lost him and she's sad. The lyrics perfectly encapsulate this feeling of blues one gets when one hears the lyrics. When we're in love, we feel like the world is a sunny place, and when you lose that love, the world feels blue and sad. It's a beautiful, soulful track with a melancholy beat to it. So that was some great songs from Carmen McRae, the meanings of the lyrics and more. And this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti. Get Happy, Lou Donaldson with Hamp's Hump, Brecker Brothers with Rapongi. Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. Tucson, Arizona, according to statistics, is one of the top 10 best cities in the US for live music events, and this January, it's gonna be a bash. Right now, it's music festival